So what we're going to be doing is updating the DAZ to Unreal for both Unreal Engine and for DAZ Studio. So the way that I do this is I go to David's GitHub account and I will put the link in the video. And this gentleman has done a great job with this plugin. David, thank you so much for all of your hard work. And he updates it fairly regularly. Look at this, 3 days ago. Okay. So here we go. Just go ahead and download that thing. Give a salute to David. Okay, now once you have that file downloaded, you're just going to go ahead and right-click, extract that. And then inside, you're going to see the various versions of Unreal Engine. So whatever version you're working from, I'm working from 5. So go ahead and open that up, and then that is the folder that you're going to want. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this folder and we're going to drag and drop it into our installation of Unreal Engine. So for me, that is going to be on this drive, Program Files, Epic Games, UE5, Engine, Plugins. Okay, so go ahead and you're going to grab that folder and you're going to make sure that you're dropping it in to the plugins, not into a neighboring folder, but into the plugins. Okay. Just go ahead and let that thing drop and go ahead and overwrite if you've already previously installed a version. And then now what you're going to do is open this up, go to Resources, and this DLL file is for the DAZ Studio DAZ to Unreal plugin. So we're going to grab that. Let's close this guy. And we're going to drag and drop that into our DAZ Studio plugins folder. So for me, that's going to be under this drive. Program Files, DAZ 3D, DAZ Studio 4, plugins. Okay. And then you're just going to drag and drop. Go ahead and overwrite. All right. Apparently it wants us to do this again. So let's try this one more time, shall we? There we go. Okay. So cool. So we have successfully updated our DAZ to Unreal for both Unreal Engine and for DAZ Studio. And again, thank you, David. This is a great plugin. We're all certainly having a lot of fun. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to use the DAZ to Unreal plugin. First thing is get your figure all set up inside of DAZ Studio. And then what you'll need to do is start Unreal Engine first. And I'm choosing a Games, third person. Go ahead and name it however you wish. And then create. All right, so first we need to initialize the plugin. So come up here to Settings, Plugins, type in DAZ. Go ahead and check that box and then restart now. All right, and you can go ahead and close that pop-up and then come back to Settings, go to Project Settings, and all the way down on the left-hand side is DAZ to Unreal settings. And you're going to check fixed bone rotations on import and then 0 root rotation on import. And then you're done with this page. You can go ahead and close it. And Unreal Engine is ready to go ahead and accept what you're sending over from DAZ Studio. So if I open up the scene, I am actually going to unparent the hair and hide it, because we're going to be bringing that in separately. I'm doing that only to show you guys that it can be done that way, and so it gives you options of putting on different kinds of hair if you want to. All right? So go ahead and select your figure. Come down here, send to DAZ to Unreal. It's going to be, go ahead and give it a name, a skeletal mesh. That's what you want. We're going to export morphs, so I'm going to check that. I have the morphs already selected. There's one more I need to do. So if you need to bring one over, just select it here and then add for export. Okay? Then once you're done, go ahead and click accept. And then one more time. And then you should have 3 files here: a skeletal mesh, a animation sequence, and a physics asset. You can select and delete the animation sequence. Now let's go ahead and bring the hair over. So to make this easy, I'm just going to delete the figure and then select the hair and send it DAZ to Unreal. I'll need to give this a new name, otherwise I'll be overriding the asset. We could keep it skeletal mesh. I'm actually going to do a static mesh. I don't have any morphs. And then just go ahead and click accept. All right, and there's your hair. So if you double click that, you can see how it's coming across. We need to do a couple of things. So let's open up these materials. Right, so for the cap, what we need to do is adjust this transparency offset to 1. Go ahead and save. And then for the hair, do the same thing, but we're going to adjust this to 10. And then go ahead and save. And then save your hair. All right, and so the hair is all ready. Our character's set. If you want, open her up and you should see your morphs that came over. All right, so you can double check those if you want, but they're all going to work. All right, so we're all done with the importing. Okay, now I'm going to talk to you like you have no idea what Unreal Engine is and you've never used it. So there's a few people out there like that. I was like that. So what it is it's a game engine that can create super realistic environments, interiors, and have a character of your choice that you can control to interact with that environment. So you can set up animations, just a whole host of things can be done inside this engine. To see what I'm talking about, if we press this green button here, that's going to open up play. And at that point, we can control this character and have it interact with the environment. One of the ways that it interacts is its foot placement. It knows when the feet are on a ramp, for instance. And so what it's doing is the feet have this thing that's called a tracer, and they're projecting down to the ground, and they're telling the hip and the rest of the body, hey, we need to adjust and we need to alter our stance here. So that's a very cool thing about it, is the ability of this character to interact with the environment. Also, when you press the WSAD keys, every time you do that, you're firing off an animation. And so what we're going to do is steal those animations and kind of inject them into our Daz character. If the Daz character had a skeletal mesh that was exactly the same as this Unreal Engine mannequin, we could just grab the animations and plug them in, and everything would be great, and we could be on our way. But our skeletal mesh is not the same. It's a different bone structure. And when that happens, you have to do something that's called retargeting. So what that does is it looks at the Unreal Engine skeletal mesh, it looks at our Daz Studio skeletal mesh, and it makes adjustments to go ahead and transfer those animations over. That's a really dumbed down version of what's happening, but that works just fine. We'll be creating our character first. We'll be putting the hair on there, and then we'll go ahead and retarget our animations, and then you can see how it works inside the game engine. Okay, so let's go ahead and start retargeting our animations. Open up your skeletal mesh, and then click on the skeleton, then click on this gear icon and select Show Retargeting Options. Right-click on the hip and recursively set Translation Retargeting Skeleton. And then left-click on the hip and select Animation Scaled. And then just go ahead and save. And close that, and close the other one. Now let's create a folder where these animations are going to go. So just right-click, name it. Okay, now we're going to go to Content, Characters, Mannequins, Animations, and we're going to select ABP Manny. That's Animation Blueprint. So right-click on that. Retarget animation assets, duplicate, and retarget. If you don't see this, you'll want to make sure that you have Show Engine Content checked. And then select under IK Retargeter, the old G81 Fix Route 0 Root IK Retargeter. Were you part of that meeting that came up with that name? No? All right. And you should have Manny here on the left and your skeletal mesh here on the right. If not, select this bar down here and select your skeletal mesh. Then you're going to change the content or the folder where the animations get saved. And then just press retarget. Okay, now we're going to want to click on this ABP Manny and rename it, because now we have two of these crazy things. And you're going to name it ABP Your Project. You want to keep with the naming convention that Unreal uses. You're going to be dealing with a lot of different files here, so keeping them all named the same just helps you out in the long run. All right, and then let's see here. What we'll need to do is, because if you press play, you're still looking at Quinn. So what we need to do is come down here to third person blueprints. And we actually need to do this third person. We're going to create a copy of that and drag it into our project file. So go to the project file and then rename that. I'm going to name mine BP third person and then my project. Okay, go ahead and double click to open that up. And then click on viewport. And you should see Quinn here. Select the mesh. Come over here to skeletal mesh and select your project. Under animation class, we just got done retargeting all of those animations. You're going to select ABP, your target. And then your figure there should be in a idle mode. Go ahead and click compile and save, and then close that file. And then come back down to third person blueprints. And now we're going to open up this one, this BP third person game mode. That's this right here. Come up to default pawn class, and it's looking for blueprint third person character. We want to look for blueprint third person our character. Compile, save, close that. Now press play, and there we go. There's our character. Now we're having some issues here with the head and the hip. So let's go ahead and fix that. Specifically, if you walk up to the ramp and try to go up it, you're having some problems there. And then the legs, the IK for the legs isn't working correctly. This left leg should be down on the ground and the right leg should be up on the hip. On the ramp.